video, and so probably what we'll do is probably cut it right at 2 hours. We probably do not want to keep pushing the Maya. Hopefully you get some of the basic instincts on how to manipulate polygons. And what I'll do is keep recording and keep recording until I stop with what I need to do in Maya. You can always go back and watch these on YouTube forever. So we'll probably stop it, like I said, and then we'll move on to ZBrush. And I definitely want you to get to see different genres of that, or different ways of approaching that, and then Substance Painter. So each one of these, you won't probably see the full product, but I'll give you a final Maya model so we can start to move on. So the next thing I want to work on is a mouth. Work on this, and maybe the main gill here. I think here this will be a little bit fake. I'm sure this is manipulated in through the breathing. This is probably pulsing in and out. But for just convenience and quickness of the class, we want to go ahead and probably just do that in ZBrush. All right, so let's go ahead and start manipulating the mouth. The mouth is really in kind of a bad way. It definitely looks more like a trout. This is going downward, and this is going straight across, so we definitely need to fix that. All right, so we're just going to go ahead and hit W and pull this down. I'll pull a lot of this geometry down so we have some room to work with. Again, we'll just keep cleaning up, and probably on the next video I'll probably go quiet. You can just kind of see my movements. But I'm not doing anything new as in keys. It's the same keys that I've used before, just extruding and moving vertices and so forth. So it shouldn't be anything radical that I'm doing. All right, so I'm just grabbing these vertices. I'm doing marquee over and over again. So we're just gonna kind of move these down so we give a little bit more room for this mouth. And so we're just gonna start pulling this down. Marquee. Go ahead and pull this whole bracket down. And pull that. And it looks like this lip is going over it. So really quickly, I don't know why I keep saying that when I hit 5 or F, they go to kind of a side view. And you can see there's not much there for that mouth. I thought there was a whole bunch of geometry. It's actually nothing at all. So I'm going to kind of push this in. I think this bottom jaw is coming in a little bit. Push that in. And then this is kind of an overbite or a lip hanging over. All right, so let's go ahead and go back. Now that I know what I'm looking at, pull this down, pull this down. Give that a little bit of shape and pull that nose. A little bit more of a characteristic of this fish, the redfish. All right, so we don't have any of this shape whatsoever, and hopefully this will start to happen soon once we get into ZBrush, but we definitely want to create this kind of a loop right here. So I'm going to hit five. So you can definitely see this is wrong. So I pull this down. 4. Pull this down. 5. All right, so I'm not going to go too far with that, just kind of giving some shapes. It looks definitely needs some shaping in here, getting this to sit properly. Definitely eyes are really sunken in. So there's a million things just to kind of keep playing around with. Again, if we had the fish with us, we could definitely be able to look at some really cool things. this in, just kind of round that off. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and save this. Increment save. Hit 3. See what it looks like. All right, it's starting to look a little bit better. That mouth is curving down. We definitely need to create that lip, and it's going to be really helpful when we're in ZBrush to have it off to the side. We'll definitely project onto the fish so we have some reference. It's really helpful to kind of spray tan or spray onto there what this stuff is going to look like. All right, so I'm going to do a couple more things, and again, we're going to probably stop with this tutorial, and I'll have more of a final fish to hand off to you guys. I'll record everything, but I won't be talking as much. All right, so let's go ahead and go to the side. I go to shading, X-ray, right click, and let's see what happens when I split this multiple times. It may be a disaster. Okay, so we have a split there. Oops, Apple Z that. Split that, and go up to this line and split it. You can see it's acting kind of erratic, so we'll go in there and clean up just a second. One more, let's Apple Z that one. I don't like that one. Let's do one right here. All right, we're going to start adding more and more geometry, but it's all in the namesake of this, these ridge lines, which are really kind of important. All right, so I'm going to hit W. And start pulling these up. All right. Alright, so starting to get some shape here. Definitely not our pointy points yet, but here in a second I'll just keep splitting and we'll have more and more stuff to pull once we get into ZBrush. Alright, just going to just kind of pull things around here again. Go at your own pace and all right, so there we go. Just a little bit of more shape than what was before. One of the things is we could start grabbing these faces and extruding and start creating these curvatures, and I'll do that in just a second. So let's do this one first. So you kind of get the idea. Again, we're eating up a lot of time just watching me do this. I don't want to do too much. But here we go, we're going to just go ahead and hit Shift, Extrude Face, and we'll hit R, kind of squeeze it in, and let's look at the side and see, just keep squeezing that in. Okay, and we can go right-click Vertex. Oops, W, and we're going to pull this down. Again, we're just trying to create some geometry. We're trying to keep everything quad-based. Go on down here, pull that down, pull this up as a spike. All right, that one looks pretty good, so we can go ahead and go to face here and delete that other side. We don't need that anymore. So we're going to go to face, and we're just going to rinse and repeat. Here, extrude face, hit R, pull this down, go ahead, face, extrude that. Again, we're going to do a lot of cool stuff in ZBrush where we're actually sculpting this out a little bit. So I'm going to pull this down. Pull those down. Pull this down. So forth. So there's a lot of geometry. It's going to get kind of crowded in here, but we definitely want to create these hard ridges and these pointy spikes in ZBrush. So it gives us plenty of stuff to work with. Let's stop there real quick. I hit turn off the other side, or there. And we're going to go ahead and do increment save. So really quickly, make sure you save it before you hit 3. So if I hit 3, you can start to see some of those edges. Obviously the stuff is going to get a lot spikier, but at least we have a little bit of these ridge lines started. So we definitely want to get all these done. I'm just going to do this for the next 5 minutes. I'm not going to explain myself too much, but you guys can kind of watch, and at least we have some linear lines there to work with once we get into ZBrush. And it'll make a lot more sense once we get into ZBrush. All right. Extrude face. Okay. And let's keep on going. Pull this in. Right-click vertex, pull this down so you have a little bit more wiggle room. I'll go up here and delete that face. All right, let's see how bad this looks, or how great this looks. I don't know. I have no idea. So we're going to hit spacebar. We're going to go to perspective. I'm going to hit 3 real quick. So you start to see that ridge line start to happen. Again, it's not that sharp because we don't have a lot of geometry in there. But we're going to do it a couple more times, and then we'll stop this video. We may clean up the mouth a little bit more, but basically I think we're probably ready to go on and move on into ZBrush. All right, so let's just keep going. Again, you can stop or just kind of go with your instinct with this. I want to turn this back on. Hit 1. And we have to repeat this. Hit R, squeeze this down. Again, my vertexes, pulling all these down. W. All right, again, with my class, we'd probably spend almost a whole semester kind of sculpting this out. We're doing this in 1 day. So obviously we're not going to get all this done. Again, we'll put time limits on this and move on and do a different exercise with ZBrush and so forth. All right, so we're going to go 2 more. I'm pretty satisfied with this. Again, this is an artistic interpretation of these ridges. If we've got a real fish, there's probably more or less, I don't know. So I hit extrude, hit R, pull this down, W, pull this over. I'll go ahead and get rid of that face, delete it, and we get up close. You can always zoom as close as you want with Maya. All right, so the next two I'm going to do offline, and we'll do one more tutorial. I'm going to try to do the gill. The main one here, do a bit of cleanup of the mouth. It looks a little wonky. And we'll do one more tutorial and we'll stop with the Maya. I think we're really just ready to get into ZBrush and start sculpting this stuff out. All right, looks good so far.